And welcome to week 7, the week of would it rain? Will it not rain? What was going on? Who knows? But without a doubt, we will soon find out as we analyze
Oh,
every minute detail of a race that really some people in the world apparently don't know about, but we do. And to do that, we have to discuss week 7, season 40, Tuesday night Heffron. We have the weatherman himself, John Sunday. Good evening, John.
well, I was on the phone to Tim Bailey quite a bit on Tuesday. I tell you, it was a very stressful day. Would it, wouldn't it? Would it, wouldn't it? And it doesn't help that I get a phone call every 5 minutes. Are we on? Are we on? Are we off? It's raining here. What's it like there? In the end, we decided to go for it, and it paid off handsomely because what a great night's racing.
And we have our resident statistician, Vaughan. Good evening, Vaughan. Resident statistician, sideline commentator, all round good guy. You're certainly covering a lot of bases, Vaughan. Good evening.
Good evening, guys. Yeah, no, and also I just want to say I went down with McKee and did the pitch tests to make sure that the track was dry enough. It was an interesting afternoon, wasn't it? Like, we definitely thought it was going to rain. I went out there at 3 o'clock. I went out there at 4 o'clock. I went back out there at 5 o'clock, but the rain missed us, and we had a cracker of a race.
Yeah,
And
we
just by
did,
the
didn't
way,
we?
mate, that's the best intro you've ever done. You even had like rhyming, slang, and the whole box and dice. You're on fire.
Well, I was probably one of those riders though, because I just got myself a fresh haircut and was on the way to the track, and it was like spitting down, and it was like any moment it's just going to start bucketing down, and I'm going to be stuck under a bus shelter seeking cover. But it just never came. So the rain never eventuated, nor did the wind. The Tuesday night, northerly, southerly, the gusting winds of 65 kilometers an hour. It was almost a windless Tuesday night at Heffron Park. And that meant what we have 29 starters in C grade, 32 in B, but a very depleted and small A grade of only 13. They had their work cut out from them from the very beginning. John Vaughan, what were you thinking as you set the riders off on the night?
Well, because of the depleted A grade, and I don't know why, because 2 weeks ago we had 30 A graders there, but the field was literally chopped in half. And let's keep in mind also in that 13 were newly promoted. Dan Newman offers consecutive B grade wins, and Alex Summers joined him as well. But they tried to give them a good start.
They're so
That didn't
fickle,
work.
those A graders. So fickle.
Very fickle. Try to give them a good start. That was going to make it competitive for them, but there was a bit of discussion and humming and hawing on the start line just before they started. And I think they most probably lost 10 seconds, and they needed that. They needed that big time.
I think
Yeah.
before I jump to Vaughan to ask about how every basically stage went down, I thought the interesting, and often we kind of say there's too many riders in B grade who should be riding A, but I actually think I came away from Tuesday night thinking full credit to everyone in B grade though, because they're just turning up in numbers every week, whether it's riders turning up with 3 or 4 mates to ride together. The whole of Centennial Park a whole club seems down to come down and enter, or just the solo riders, Bolterini and so forth. They're just turning up week in, week out, whether they're, top of the B grade or at the back of the field. And same probably said for C. It's just
Yep.
big numbers in all
No,
those
good point.
grades, not necessarily just full of guys sandbagging a result. But Vaughan, how was the race playing out when you were looking at your stopwatch?
Well, I actually think you guys absolutely nailed it in the fact that the wind, well, there was none. The rain, it didn't come. The handicap got messed up for the first time in the 40th season of Heffron leaving A grade, and it made the B grade Pello grin.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
you thought about that one. I
come on.
I
Been
must
sitting on that
say
all day.
that handicap, I don't think I've ever seen, even though obviously A knew they weren't going to win when it came down. So basically, a bell rap was rung. They weren't in the race. And so it was clearly, for those who weren't there, a C and B. But there must have been a gap of almost a minute and a half
Yeah, close to it.
before.
It was longer than the length of the straight. And I think they most probably realised that at 3 to go and started saving their bickies for their own little mini sprint.
100%, mate. I was up on the hill and saw that happen right there. They actually came over the second pimple and literally all of them stopped pedaling.
Yeah.
I yelled out to them what the time gap was. They looked at me and said some beautiful, loving words to me. And then they all literally stopped with 3 to go, stopped pedaling, just rolled in and then just regrouped. And the lap time says that. But interestingly, I also had a little bit of an insight because I'd said, obviously, I'd got up the B grade boys last week about riding like Muppets. I'd said to my Hydra players that we need to get out there for those first 5 laps and really set a precedent early. The CPP boys did the same thing. And so just having a look at these first 5 lap times. So that the first lap, A grade made 1 second back. The next lap, they lost a second. So B grade was faster than A grade on lap 2. The lap after that, A grade only got another 2 seconds back, and then another 2 seconds, and then another 2 seconds. So they're only gaining at 2 seconds a lap back for those first 5 laps of that bike race.
And luckily, we have a historian who's able to tell us. Normally, John, what are they? It's normally about 10 seconds a lap.
Yeah, it's normally. I was going to say that. So that's a deficit of 8 seconds a lap, isn't it? So normally in the opening 6 laps. A grade would have gained a minute of their roughly, 2 and a bit minutes that they start behind.
Well, by lap 10, John, they'd only brought back 35 seconds.
Wow.
And you saw that massive, they didn't catch C grade for the first time, I think, until 9 laps to go. And by then, they were already depleted by that stage. I think 5 of them were out in the front. The others were a long way back. Yep. So they must have blown up almost in the first 5 laps.
They lost a couple, I think, after about 5 or 6 laps, but they still continue to roll pretty smoothly and aggressively. Nice low level drone footage of them coming down the start finish line, which I understand was driven by our pilot on Tuesday night, was Braden Block.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Discovering a new skill.
You're on the wrong end of the drone, bro.
Yeah.
Get on the track. Get on the other side of the track.
And
actually, I must say something. Dan Bonello had said to me this morning, this is a good one. Anyone who's an A grader that doesn't race should be put in the result as a DNS.
That is good.
Now, look, that's a tough one, Bonbon. Hey, but credit to Bonbon too. Back in the country for 2 weeks. Our man from Girona, he wins the Southern Cross crit on Sunday. Well done there, and back at it, backing up on Tuesday night.
Isn't he great to watch race too? Because he just puts the head down and goes so hard. I love watching the Bonbon race. I didn't love this morning when he ripped my legs off down the freeway on the old Glitzy ride, but
I'm hearing you on that one.
I thought the other interesting. Oh, so I'll just we'll wrap up A grade's race, but bar the finish now pretty early on. I thought Chris Ling, he finished 3rd. That's got to be his almost highest finish. For a little while, so he certainly did well to be there till the end. I was picking Brad Mills, actually. I know, obviously we'll talk about Benny Coates' win, but I thought Millsy was almost looking as special. I thought he was.
I think Millsy was most probably laying it on the line in the last lap for Benny Coates, and I think Chris Ling benefited from some of those guys like Tommy Bolton would normally be much more competitive in the sprint, but once again, I think he was helping young Benny get up. So that played into Chris Ling's hands.
And the man who missed out, who got second, Ollie Penny. I don't know if you guys, and here's a good, kind of promotion of the Richard Scriven's photos. He's almost on the front of A grade. Like, I don't know whether he was purposely getting every photo of him every time, but of the 100 photos of A grade, he's probably on the front of them 80 times. He must have done a mountain of work on Tuesday night.
His motor is massive, isn't it? But geez, you would have thought he would have been licking his lips. I was actually thinking Ollie would have got up on Tuesday night. But yeah, that finish by Ben Coates was amazing.
And he's got some quick little legs on him. He's doing very well.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ben Coates, Sweet 16 celebrated his 16th birthday on Sunday. Celebrates with an outright win in A grade on Tuesday night, but. The luck of the youngsters didn't end there. B grade, once again, 3rd across the line. Lucas Ukiati Hey, only his second week in B grade. Gets fourth in B grade last week. This week gets third, and that's third outright.
So so last week was the first week he was off a podium of one of his grades. Gee, he's had
Yeah,
a good start to the
yeah,
season.
he certainly has.
Yeah,
And the winner of C grade again, Harvey
yeah.
Challinor.
Harvey Challinor.
So that's two in a row for Harvey.
And Liam
Uh,
Galtman was fourth in B grade.
yeah, Liam Galtman fourth.
Yep.
Another younger rider.
And good to see
But
Andre Dubier back in town,
yeah,
brother of Anna Dubier.
yeah.
Dubiers have been around for a long time. He looked good. He had a good finish.
Yeah, he
Sure.
did, didn't he?
Has he
And
raced Heffron a lot?
Andre,
I must admit, I have the name. Look, I probably see it on the star list, but it doesn't kind of start
Andre
setting
hasn't raced for
fireworks
about
off
a
in my
year.
mind.
He
Okay.
hasn't been to Heffron for about a year, but can ride and can finish. And
Good.
congratulations to Adrian Pelegrin for the outright win. Adrian turned up first time 6 weeks ago, and I think was second or third in that very first B grade win. And we thought, oh, where did he come from? So he's proved that was no fluke. But he got pushed all the way to the line, didn't he, by Andre, and followed a bit of a gap back to Luca. And then, like you said, Vaughan, Liam Galtman was in fourth, and who's in fifth? Robbie Allen.
Robbie.
Do you think
Robbie
Adrian,
Allen.
when you look at the photos, you'll see there he's in the purple jersey. He was basically almost camouflaged in with the CPAC riders. So maybe they thought, we're leading out Benny Glastonbury. This is awesome. He's going.
We should have told him that.
And then they go, actually, it's not us. It's someone else.
Maybe Adrian's done that on purpose.
He has.
Just trying to camouflage himself.
Because
B
got to the front, I think, with about, was it 5 to go? Maybe. Oh, no. It was only like 2 or 3. Yeah.
There's
3.
a big story there because there was a huge split in B grade. There was a split of 5 riders, went across to C grade.
When was this? Maybe I should backpedal
about
then.
4 laps to go, 5 laps to go. Maybe 4 laps to go. Who went to the front and put down one of the largest turns you'll ever see off an AFL field?
Yeah.
Rhino Keith.
Rhino
went to the front.
Rhino loving it. Backed up by Rich Brooks and Toby Aubrey-Pointer again.
Yep, and they just rode off the front, and suddenly there's a split. Someone dropped a wheel, and I was obviously on top of the hill, shouting at both because I thought Tommy Hyde was a huge chance for a win. I may have actually jinxed him last week.
He felt that weight of expectation. I mean, if we thought the cloud cover was big, that was actually just the weight of expectation on Tom Hyde when we said B grade are going to win this with 5 to go. And Tom Hyde just went, oh, my God. These legs just frozen in fear.
Yeah. So there's a huge split. So, of course, those guys and so Chapo to the Pelegrin, as I'm calling him, because he's grinning like a Cheshire cat after that ride. A, he did a lot of turns early on. B, he crossed to that group on his own.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. And so he went across to that group on his own. As they caught C grade, they went through C grade. And then it was a mountain of work by people like, again, Pommy Rob Crichton. Who else was in there? There's some big turns. Even Greg Rule came through there at one stage and pulled some big turns because everyone realised B grade's race was done and dusted because 5 riders have got through to C grade and were out the front.
That's the kind of stuff that gets you promoted to president when you do that kind of pull.
So
Rule just says, I'm a leader.
Yeah. So Robbie Allen got to with some help from Rob Crichton, got into position for the sprint, but he said he was absolutely cooked from having to chase so long, to get into that position.
And by the way, you knew that Robbie Crichton had done a massive effort to get Robbie Allen up there because he rolled an absolutely dead last, I think, on that last lap, completely cooked and spent.
So, Adrian's ride, what a great ride. So, Chapo and hats off.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention great finish by Grant Holbert, who hasn't been out of the action in B grade for the last 6 or 7 weeks now. Always in there doing his bit, and it hasn't come up with a big result yet, but he's in there having a go because when the last 4th, 5th, and 6th crossed the line, it was a bit of a toss-up who was going to get the sort of pseudo podiums, and Grant just missed out.
He's actually had a pretty good strong season. He's been pretty consistent this season.
Yeah, very, very consistent.
So so 4-5 to go, what were the commentators saying? They were obviously saying it was a B grade, set up for B grade. Yeah. And then obviously the early picks were on, well, Tom Hyde was, well, this is going to be his Mark Cavendish moment. He's going to get to break through. But, again, Luca third. I mean, he was fantastic.
So impressive. Just so impressive.
Yeah, those boys look so good on their bikes. That Harvey, Liam Galtman, Luca. It's so good to see these young kids just they look so good on their bike. They're spinning up a storm because I think quite a few of them are still on their junior gears. Watching Harvey come across the line in that photo, actually, in that video that you put up, John, is really interesting because he's just behind Robbie, I think. If you look at the actual overall,
yes, he's just outside the top 10. I think he came across the line about 12th.
Yeah, and and he's just spinning up a storm with about 6 riders behind him. So he would have had to have manoeuvred himself through there. So yeah, I'm loving watching these young kids.
Yeah, I did hear he did a bit of over manoeuvring just in the last 500 meters. So
the exuberance of youth. I'm sure he'll.
Can you tell me a bit about that last lap? How did you find yourself in the right spot? And how did you position yourself coming into the sprint?
Yeah, just those last 2 laps, trying to move up as much as I could. Especially before those last 2 laps, I was way too far back down the bunch to really do anything. So focusing on moving up and trying to make it through and just go for it.
Yeah, very nice. And I spotted you sitting very nicely in the middle of the bunch for pretty much the entire race. It's serving very well. You were shepherded around nicely by your dad. There were a couple of splits though in C grade towards the end of the race. Was it a little bit nervous sitting further back, or did you feel pretty comfortable that it was all going to come back together?
Yeah, some bits were a bit nervous, but a couple hundred meters and it was being brought back fairly quick, so nothing to worry about.
Yeah, very nice. Well,
we haven't spoken about them at all, but C grade had by far their quickest race of the season.
It's the most orange kit the quickest.
That's the quickest. I think they averaged about 42k an hour. Yep. And of course, the power of the podcast. I mean, last week we had Kurt Ether looking to go solo because he wants Chugger. This week we had Luke Cromer of Randwick Botany, who last week someone said he didn't do a lot of work the previous week. And so this week from the rollout, he just said, that's it. I'm setting the pace. Straight to the front, working hard because he wants the recognition of the podcast. The great job he does on a Saturday for racing at Heffron for Randwick Botany, not enough. He wants respect of the peloton. So he rode really well. But all of it, the whole group was flying. I must say,
there were a couple.
Hongsak rode really well.
Yeah.
Michael Stent was up there. Nico Love continues to improve every week. And look, all those Rafa riders, I'm assuming you're wearing a Rafa jersey, so I'm just going to say, so obviously that was Thomas Egan, Adam Richardson. I'm trying to look through the list there. Look, there was a whole bunch of this. So if you're wearing a Rafa jersey, I thought you rode really well. There's a big guy in black. I called him during the race.
Nathan Bresser. Actually, Nathan, only his second race last year.
Good job, big fella. Look, he probably weighs 65 kilos, but in the race, I thought he looked like the biggest man on the track. So, look, he did a mountain of work and earned the respect, I think, of a lot of the riders in that race.
Speaking of big men, hiding
Pat
there in
Bleasel. Sorry, he was the other one from Dulwich-Hill.
Yeah,
all those
Pat,
Dulwich-Hill riders.
Yeah. I had a chat to Pat before the race. I said, "Your first race, Pat. Take it easy. Just relax." And first lap, what's he doing? Almost off the front and continued to ride.
He rode really well. He rode super strong. Didn't shirk any work. Didn't start thinking, I'll save my legs. I think I could win this.
He did. I think he enjoyed it too. But I was just about to say, speaking of big riders or bigger frame, hiding in C grade on Tuesday night was Ray Shock. And this is Ray's first visit to Heffron since he last rode A grade, and that was just last year. But I must point out, when I saw Ray, at first I didn't even recognize him. I knew the face, I just didn't recognize the body. But Ray, you've been in the protein powder in the gym, but I noticed you still got around okay.
Charlie's chicken breast, obviously.
No, he's not getting the chicken voucher. He's not putting on any more weight. He needs to slim down.
Wow.
But you mentioned Nico Love. Another good ride by Nico. So his third race in now, still doing far too much. He's still got far too much energy. But good to see.
I think he's doing great. I think they're helping establish, giving I think C grade, and I'm going to put the mocker on there. They are now specials, I think, to win the first monument when they race B grade.
Oh, the
The
handicap.
slightly depleted B grade. There are now that many guys racing quickly in C. And I've got to mention anyone with the name Jesus.
Yes,
yeah.
Hey, how well did he do? His first ride, his first Tuesday night race, and
if that's not an Easter
snuck it in
chocolate,
full.
I don't know what is.
Yeah, like that's
Jesus Ferrero.
Hey, that's and then look, I'll also shout out the other Ruben Shepherd from Randwick, Luke Cromer, Joel, I can never pronounce it.
Liam Denver, another good ride.
Ben Glover were the other, and obviously Ray from Randwick. Those guys, though, all those Randwick jerseys.
You've just named the entire 19 riders. You know,
look, the more people you name, the better chance they'll watch. The viewership goes up, and not only will I be getting I might get another free orange helmet.
Hey, exactly. Well, let me just jump in quickly because there is some really interesting stuff that happened in C grade and I wanted to do that whole lap time thing. And if I'm going to do the lap time thing, listen to this. First lap, and you said this a couple of weeks ago, which is so, and by the times this is what is happening. They get themselves sorted lap one, and then they start to put the motor on. So they lost 17 seconds on lap one.
Jeeps.
Right.
Hang on, so just put that in perspective. To B grade?
To B grade.
So they rode...
B grade only lost 1 second to A grade.
But what time did what was their first lap time speed?
3:18.
Okay. And then, so therefore that's okay. That's and then 3:01. Look, but Luke Cromer did a wonderful job there on the front. He said he was never going faster, but actually we went so slow as 3:18.
Well, so that's what I was going to say. So the numbers that I've gone off your numbers, Luke Cromer's numbers, and the Love's numbers, because obviously they ebb and flow. But then laps 2, 3, 4 was super fast. 250. There was a 256, a 254. When you're considering that A grade and B grade were doing between 242 to 246s, so suddenly there was some really good. And then all of a sudden you just have a blowout lap, which was another 3 minute and 6 second lap. And then it went back to 258.
That's because we're C grade. Everyone's like, give us a break for just a moment.
And then get back in. But my point is, it's really interesting if you look at those times all lined up next to each other. If the consistency could be just slightly more consistent, they would have won. Wow. They would have stayed away from B grade. If one of those laps they could have got rid of, I don't think B grade would have got rid of them because they're 21 seconds, 17 seconds they're losing on one lap, and then they go to losing 8 to 11 seconds per lap. Yeah, if they can keep that consistency, I think you're right, mate. We're going to see soon the C graders holding everybody off.
And with that kind of analysis on lap times, B grade, what's their variance between the fast? Exclude the first lap because obviously they're getting up to speed.
Done.
Between lap 2 and 16.
Glad you asked. So excluding
bit of a Dorothy Dix at that one.
Excluding the first lap and last lap. So the 242s to 251s was B grade.
Okay, so that's what, the 9 seconds. Okay.
Yeah. 254s to 304 really is C grade. Okay. And then A grade is 241 to 253s.
Okay.
Yeah. And that would have been in their closing laps.
Yeah. You also say 253 is like when they've eased up and rolled around for half a lap. I mean, that just shows you their level, how quick they're going with. They can take an easy lap, and that's a 253.
Yeah. Well, that 253 came on that 3 laps to go when they literally stopped pedaling as they went down around after the second pimple. But what's really interesting is the consistency of lap times between A grade and B grade. For there's 7 laps in a row where there's only 2 seconds difference per lap.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Also,
that could all change. That could all change next week. But we've got a chicken voucher burning a hole in our pockets.
We do indeed. So probably one of the favourite times of the week. Grill Charlie's Rider of the Week. Well, with Benny Coates, Paul hasn't been able to join us tonight, unfortunately. But I'll tell you, even without asking him, he voted for Ben Coates as Rider of the Week for his first win in A grade. So Benny Coates, Paul Kraft says Ben Coates Rider of the Week for him. So where does that leave you, John? Well,
I realised last week when we get to run through our options and our votes, when you lead off with a rider, it's a clear sign that rider's not going to get it. So I'm sorry, Adrian. I thought your win was impressive. Hey, it's your first season. You're clearly a skilled rider. You can handle Heffron now. But unfortunately, I'm with Crafty. Benny Coates. What a win. I mean, I know it was a diminished A grade, but you've still got to ride and you've still got to race and still got to beat everybody else. So I think Benny went home and his mum was down there watching as usual. She most probably cooked him a chicken burger on Tuesday night. He's not allowed to go to the pub with us, so he's only 16.
I actually had the advantage of asking. We got Angus to ask him who he's going to give his Char Grilled Charlie's voucher to, and he said his dad. So he said he'll share his fries with his dad.
He actually went in a move at Cam on the last lap. So Tommy was in a move and then it all came back together. And then Millsy let it out and then it was Ollie. And then I was sort of in the perfect position coming down the straight.
Yeah, perfect. And we saw Ollie had a very early sprint last week. He got pipped by Kurt Ether. It looks like those demons might have come back to haunt him again. Do you think he was a little bit too early off the gas this time? And did he give you a perfect lead out, or was it just coming straight down to the legs?
I mean, he's like a block tailwind, so coming down the straight, there was like a massive draft, so I was just sitting and waiting. It was actually pretty hard to come around him at the end. I thought I was going to get there, but yeah, it was definitely strong coming down.
No, he's very strong. He doesn't make it easy for you. One final question before I let you go. Crucially, we've all been wondering the whole race, who are you taking to Char Grilled Charlie's?
Like what?
Who are you taking to Char Grilled Charlie's?
Oh, probably my dad.
Dad. So that's great to hear.
Well, hang on. How could you have asked him that question when we haven't voted?
Well, because I knew Crafty was going to vote for him, so I knew he had at least one vote. Look, that's an interesting call. They didn't get the overall victory though. So Vaughan.
So I was going to be really controversial and say Angus Calder, but he's the commentator, and I think he's doing a champion.
Therefore, didn't
He's
finish.
not allowed to get one. Didn't finish, no. But I do think he's doing a massively awesome job.
I want to vouch for that, Crafty. A shout out, Gussie.
Yeah.
Amazing. What a great addition to the Tuesday Night Heffron presentation trackside.
Yeah, he's very, very good. But I am going to go the Pelegrin because I thought that was an absolute superstar finish by that man. And as I said, didn't shirk turns and cross to the group on his own. Adrian Pelegrin, the Pelegrin.
Yep. I am going to agree with Vaughan.
Oh, no!
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you, because I think he got the overall win. So he's managed to work and get the group there to the front. He's also beaten 32 other starters in B and 29 starters in C, which was also, at that stage of the race, a pack of about 40 riders. So the 40 riders have started that last lap. He's there, worked. That was a very well-deserved win by Adrian. I like when he crossed the line, Gus said, he's done it easy. And then I look at the photos and I'm like, whoa, if that's easy, I'd hate to see a close race. Yeah. But no, I thought Adrian there, he worked during the race. So he gets my vote. Vaughan?
Well, I was going to suggest, because Crafty's got broadband and internet issues, the online voting is 2-1. So you would have to think, Pelegrin.
Yeah, Vaughan, you were going to say before.
Well, I was going to say, like, if literally, we know that Crafty probably would have gone Benny Coates, so it was actually 2-2, right? We should have just said, well, you leave a comment. We'll make the decision by the end of the week. Leave a comment on the YouTube thing about whether it should be the Pelegrin or the Coates. Put it to the people. Let the people decide.
I've got to add the flames. Also, if we start putting it to the people, they're going to think that we actually listen and appreciate their feedback.
Graphics.
Because people will say, hey, I've got an idea if you should, mate. Don't want to hear it.
And I'll tell you, there's another reason I'm inclined to favour Adrian as well. If we can pop up the podium shot where he's sitting on the number one step.
Yes.
I mean, that's a chicken award right there.
Yeah.
Was there some reason he decided he wanted to show? Is that a brand new bike? Because he's got his Canada. He's got the full aero water bottles and everything. I was like, man's turned up to win.
He's got a brand new set of wheels from Benny Caden.
Nice.
I saw that. Noticed that. Yeah.
So, therefore, I think it's fair to say, Adrian Pellegrinio, you are our Char Grilled Charlie's rider of the week.
Way to go, Adrian.
Well done.
Which
Great
then leads
addition to
us
Tuesday Night
a
Racing.
great addition to the podium for the night. So obviously, first over the line was Adrian. Second was Andre. Third, a very impressive Luca Zuccati. So that was the top three for B grade. That actually, therefore, it must have. Yep, that was the top three on the night. So therefore, we go C grade's top three. Harvey Challinor of Neo. Certainly that club seems to be doing fantastic with its juniors. Michael Stanton of Dulwich Hill, still looking for that eternal win. And Nico Love, fantastic result for him, third. Then moved to almost the second race on the night, A grade. Ben Coates in first, Ollie Penny in second, and third was Chris Ling. And I believe Kira Will was our lone finisher on
yes,
the
of
night.
course.
So fantastic work by her to get up. With that, last lap thoughts. Let's ring the old Spurge bell.
Coming down the straight last lap. He's done it again this time, trying to get a bit of separation. He did this last week as well, and also a couple of weeks ago when we saw a couple of the young guys from C grade leave England.
Start off that. I just wanted to also add on the C grade podium. This is the beauty of Tuesday Night Racing. Harvey Challinor wins. His dad's down there racing, so that's a bit of a family affair. Michael Stanton, who's at the other end of the age spectrum, his family are down there. His wife Susie's down there with his grandchild. So isn't that great? Family affair. And of course, Nico, new to Heffron, getting better every week. What does he do last night? Third race on Tuesday night? Brings his girlfriend down to watch. Well done, Nico.
Well done, Nico Love.
I think the other one, when it comes to that podium, and I think it was Paul who mentioned it on the Heffron Facebook page, was how young it was. So
it's most probably the youngest podium we've ever had in terms of combined ages of less than 100.
So perhaps? You've got Kira Wills, obviously she's under 20. Harvey Challinor, he's clearly under
15,
20.
35, we're up to 34 now.
Okay, so then we've got Luca Zuccati.
34, what's that?
15,
16, we got to 50.
Okay, so then you've got Andre.
Andre, 22, 23, if.
Yeah, if that.
60 plus.
And Adrian.
Adrian,
21, 22,
25, early mid to 3. Yeah, we're only up to 80. Gee, I tell you what.
And then Ben Coates, first in A grade.
Benny, he's 10, but he's just turned 16. I tell you what, we are lucky we didn't have Gino on the podium because he would have blown our theory completely out the door.
Oldest podium of all time. But look, a podium with all our age winners under the age, a total age of 100 is
that's amazing. Pretty
that's
impressive.
Fantastic. And which leads me to a lovely little segue to my one was like two parts on the last lap was how great it is to have so many juniors racing such a high quality race. I think, Christmas school holidays are about to start. So it really is a chance, I think, for a lot of juniors to come and test their legs because we've seen so many develop over the years. I mean, look at Will Heff only a few years ago. Benny Coates, Lucas Stevenson, they've all benefited amazingly from turning up on a Tuesday night. But the other reason they're all benefiting is, I reckon, the wonderful atmosphere that Gus and everyone and all the race volunteers are bringing on Tuesday night. It's really great fun being down there at the moment as a spectator. Just the vibe of the racing, I think, at the moment. A credit to the
it
Colin
really is.
And the team there at East, and obviously now
most
Greg.
Probably a good opportunity to thank the volunteers from the East Cycling Club, because we did allude to it earlier and perhaps last week, but the club's now got a new president, Greg Rawle, take a bow, our presidente, and it's good to see Rawley. He's the only rider that was on the start line 40 years ago that's still racing.
You may have mentioned that.
And now president of the club. So good things coming in the club. And interesting, I just did a quick count of number of riders per club. And good to see that East topping the list.
Very good. East won with Randwick second. Very, very good.
Yeah.
In our last lap, families. Who was the best? Obviously, Harvey Challinor, is showing Dad how to ride a bike. With him easily topping his dad. What other families do we have on the night?
Oh well, we had the Drummonds there. So I know
Rab was the top finisher there.
Rowan, I think rolled in fairly. Yeah, Rowan rolled in with Mark Rowling.
Yep.
Sort of ran about 19th to the 20th. But yeah,
Rad
Rad
was
was up
eighth.
there. He was just behind Grant Holbert and
Well,
Ryan
the
O'Keefe.
youngest getting it up there again. Robbie Allen made sure he got some respect back. He was the top finishing Allen. I think it was about it actually. It was a bit of quiet
Yeah,
on the
that was
family
it.
affairs.
On the family affair. It was just the Challengers and the Drummonds there. But still lots of family connections trackside with mums and dads, which is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And it was nice to get a thank you from Luca's mum, thinking that I was doing something special for the youngsters. Well, I'm actually not, but they're doing it. And that's why they deserve the credit.
I think Randwick Botany ran previously earlier this year. I know they were running a bit of junior thing on Saturday. So it's certainly, if you're looking to get a bit more race experience before stepping up to Heffron on a Tuesday night, Randwick Botany's Saturday is a great little hit out.
It's the place to do it.
It's the place to do it. Learns the track, same level of wind. It's a good opportunity. You were probably also hoping the Lucas mum, because I reckon they'd get a pretty good mean panettone at their house. And, just gift one of those and you can stay in B grade as long as you want, Luca.
One of the little things that I was going to bring up from the last lap is there was a little bit of argy-bargy after the finish line. There was a couple of moves or manoeuvres during the race that may have been questionable. But I just want to remind everyone out there that we race with respect, and then we give our time for ourselves to reflect, and then we go and resolve any of the issues, do it calmly, and because I don't think anyone's out there to cause any issues with such a huge spectrum of age groups, from the youngsters right through to the old people with experience and people without experience. Things are going to happen at a crazy adrenaline.
When your heart rate's at 220, it's very hard to remain calm. But overall, I think the vibe in the bunches and on the sideline this year has been outstanding, and that's been reflected in the high quality and number of entries we've been getting. Which is a reminder: last lap next Tuesday night, the 10th of December, is our last handicap for 2024. Buncher entries are open, so do the right thing, guys. Jump onto Buncher, get your entry in, because the following week, on the 17th of December, is the first monument for the season, the 2024 trophy race. And so I think we must probably talk about that a little bit more next week.
But there's a big deal. So time to get your entries in for next Tuesday to give yourself a bit of preparation time. So Darcy, get your entry in an A grade, because monument season is. I love the fact that monument season is now upon us.
It certainly is. It's going to be a great night. There's going to be a barbecue. Beers will be on offer as well. So hopefully Crafty won't be the commissaire that night, so he can participate. So yeah, that's really something to look forward to in a couple of weeks.
All right, fantastic. We can pretty much wrap it up there. We've covered it off. Get your entries in for next Tuesday. Congratulations, Pellegrino, on your win of week 7, season 40 Tuesday nights. But until then,
history books.
Exactly.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.